Now on Sunrise and streaming on CrossroadsToday.com, a family is concerned about the whereabouts of one of their loved ones. This morning we'll tell you about the search called for a man who reportedly never came back from a hospital visit. And continuing coverage in New York, where former President Trump's on trial for civil fraud. The judge has ruled that Trump cannot speak during closing arguments. We'll tell you more about the silencing of the former president. Speaking of Trump, his most high-profile and consistent critic, Chris Christie, has dropped out of the race for president. Hear what Christie's vowing to Americans regarding the former president.
And we got some nice warm weather coming our way today, but then cooling off a little bit tomorrow ahead of an Arctic blast coming our way starting out our week next week. We'll take a look at that in the weather coming up.
One of the most legendary figures in all of sports stepping down. I'll have that in sports.
You're watching 25 News Now Sunrise. Good morning and thank you for joining us. I'm Carolina Astrain.
And I'm Parker Cox.
Today's the 11th day of January 2024. The time is just about 6:30. Oh, not yet, but just about 6:32 on our Thursday morning. And it is Step in a Puddle and Splash Your Friends Day. And Parker, I actually did this on this day last year.
Oh, really?
I got really lucky. I was leaving brunch with some friends and there was a puddle. And I did it.
Oh, so it was raining on that day, I guess.
I think it was, yeah.
Huh. It's a fun little day. I never thought that would be an actual national day.
It's pretty silly.
It's pretty fun. That's a silly day.
Well, I don't know about the rain chances for today, but I know the fog is really obstructing the view this morning.
Yes, in fact, if y'all are waking up with us this morning, if you're just tuning in, looking at a live look at Eastern Victoria, where like Carolina is talking about, you would indeed be very correct, Carolina. Look at that picture. Very foggy here in the Crossroads, so please be careful. In fact, as we take a look at your current conditions, 50 degrees, matching that near 49 or 49, nearly 50, nearly matching that temperature. That's why you got that 96% humidity out there, which is driving up all of that dense fog out there this morning. In fact, if you take a look at your visibilities for most of us here in the Crossroads area, most of us are at less than a mile of visibility. Some of us are less than a half mile, even a quarter mile of visibility out there this morning. So please, like I said, please be careful on the roads. I feel like we're going to hear lots of wrecks on the scanners this morning because it is probably going to be a very dangerous morning. In fact, it is so dangerous, the National Weather Service has even issued a dense fog advisory for all of these counties all the way up there into, I think, College Station even might even be getting some dense fog up there in Aggieland as well, which is where I'm from, Gig 'em Aggies. But take a look at what's going on for the rest of the day. So warming up nicely into about the mid-70s. It's going to be a nice warm day today. Starting out a little bit chilly this morning, up in the upper 40s, but nice day today. But is that warm weather going to continue into next week? No, it's not. It's actually cool off a little bit today because we're going to get a cold front overnight tonight into tomorrow morning. Going to cool off just a little bit into the 60s. That low is going to travel up there, bring another blizzard to the northeast. They just got one off that last low, but coming our way is this Arctic front coming off an Arctic polar low up there in northern Canada, bringing us into below freezing temperatures next week. So we'll take a look at that and more in just a few more moments. Back to you, Carolina.
Thank you, Parker. Hallettsville police called a search this morning for Bradley K. Pustajovsky. His family says he left for the hospital on January 9th and has not returned. They say they last saw him driving his gray Ford F-150. Authorities urge anyone with information on his whereabouts to call the Lavaca County Sheriff's Office at 361-798-2121. Former President Trump will not be allowed to speak during closing arguments in his New York civil fraud trial. The judge in the case denied his request to speak Wednesday in a letter to Trump's attorneys. The letter says the former president failed to agree to preconditions set forward by the judge. In the letter, Engoron asked Trump to agree to limit his subjects while speaking and to comply with his existing gag order. But after 3 extended deadlines, Trump still had not responded to the request. Republican presidential candidate Chris Christie announced Wednesday that he is dropping out of the race. His decision to exit the race now removes the most high-profile and consistent critic of former President Donald Trump that was still in the Republican primary. During the town hall, Christie shared that he will no longer be a Republican candidate for president while vowing that he will ensure that he does not enable Donald Trump to become president again. At this time, Christie has not made any endorsements for other GOP candidates. Next, the extreme weather hitting the plains and Midwest today as winter's latest cross-country storm moves east. The storm already dumped more than a foot of snow in the Sierra Nevada mountains, triggering a deadly avalanche at the largest ski area around Lake Tahoe.
Overnight officials identifying the man who was killed in an avalanche at a ski resort near Lake Tahoe. 66-year-old Kenneth Kidd from nearby Truckee, California, died during the rare incident which happened inside an area designated for skiers. 3 others were injured. Skier Marcus Franklin watching it all unfold, jumping into action to save those trapped.
We attempted to organize like a grid search where you kind of move through the avalanche debris field, striking the snow, hoping to hit a body.
He captured the scramble to shovel out this man trapped beneath the snow. Fueling that avalanche, a major winter storm impacting the area, creating heavy snowfall and wind gusts over 100 miles per hour. That storm is now heading east to the already hard-hit plains and Midwest before striking the Northeast, hitting communities inundated with water from storms earlier this week. New video shows the scene Tuesday night. Firefighters near Philadelphia helping a man trapped in a tree with water rushing all around him. In Norwich, Connecticut, residents evacuated amid fears a dam on the Yantic River could bust open.
Hopefully this dam will not go. That's our biggest fear right now.
Rivers are raging from Maryland to Maine.
Wow, all that rain on top of the weekend snow has rivers like the Passaic here in New Jersey running high and rising.
Those communities unlikely to see a break in precipitation. Heavy rain and snow are predicted for many of those northeast areas beginning Friday evening. But through it all, residents are showing their resilience. In Wayne Township, New Jersey, roads are overflowing with water, unsafe to drive on. So Julie Lynch and her husband John bought a boat just to get to and from their house.
It's crazy, but you got to do what you got to do.
Andrew Dimbert, ABC News, New York.
In the south, severe weather is also on the horizon with tornadoes, damaging winds and flooding, all possible later this week. A 24-year-old Victoria woman faces 6 charges, including 2 counts of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. BPD took Triana Stovall down on charges Tuesday night in the 5800 block of North John Stockbauer. Stovall's in the Victoria County Jail with a bond set at $33,700. Burglars got away with thousands of dollars worth of equipment after breaking into the Schreier Kubota near Hallettsville over the weekend. The suspects reportedly got into the dealership by cutting a fence in the rear of the property. They stole 8 mowers and a compact tractor with a loader and a backhoe. Authorities want information on this crime. If you have any, call Lavaca County Crime Stoppers at 361-401-1930. And here are some of the top headlines you can read in the Port Lavaca Wave. Port Lavaca received new signs in several public outdoor spaces in an effort to bring public awareness to rules and regulations. Plus, the Calhoun County Commissioner's Court authorized an increase in funds for the Sheriff's Office. You can read these stories and more at theportlavacawave.com. Remember, subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click the notification bell. The time is now 6:38 on our Thursday morning. Here's a look at what's coming up on 25 News Now Sunrise. Yesterday, House Republicans started the process of holding Hunter Biden in criminal contempt of Congress. Plus, 2 GOP presidential hopefuls went head-to-head in the last debate before voting begins. Who took the stage and who did not? We'll tell you after the break.
School bus forecast, that algae report as well. And later on Sunday, we'll also take another look at that Arctic blast that's coming our way next week. Well, good morning, Crossroads. If y'all waking up this morning, if you're just tuning in, look at a live look at Cuero. It looks like that fog has kind of cleared up just a little bit in the Cuero area, but I wouldn't be surprised if that fog returns real soon because there's lots and lots of high humidity values all around the board here in the Crossroads area. But starting out about 49 up there in the Cuero area, and I put Gonzales up there because that's close to town to Cuero that is Victoria. But with the dew point 49 matching that temperature, you got 100% humidity, which is why I'm surprised I don't see any fog right now. I would be surprised, like I said, if that fog returns to that water tower probably the next 10, 15 minutes or so. But if you're seeing your kiddos off to school, it's going to be about 50 as they're heading out the door. You might want to pack them a light jacket because it's going to warm up nicely today into the mid 70s. And the good news is that fog will finally be out of our area probably by around 11 a.m. as the sun starts coming high in the sky today. But with that nice weather today, not really expecting any pollen today because there's tree, grass, and ragweed pollen are all non-existent because we had that cold front that wiped all of that pollen out of our area. But coming our way is some big weather coming our way starting next week. Starting off the week next week, we have an Arctic blast coming Monday morning, which will have an alert day because we will be below freezing, quite a bit below freezing. We'll take a look at that and more in just a few more moments. Back to you, Keelan.
Thank you, Parker. 2 football teams say goodbye to historic eras, one in the NFL and one in college. Here's sports reporter Zach Brown.
Well, I don't need to tell you that the NFL is a brutal business and that no one is safe, because after 14 years, a Super Bowl champion and being the winningest head coach in franchise history, Pete Carroll no longer the head coach in Seattle. The move surprised many, even Carroll, who says he fought pretty hard to keep the job. The Seahawks had a winning record. Some reports say Pete Carroll will stay in the Seahawks organization, but no official word on where he will go. But that is not nearly as shocking as this latest report. It's being reported by many major networks that Nick Saban is retiring. He won 6 national championships with Bama, 5 SEC Coach of the Year awards. In his entire college coaching career, he won 297 games, which is 5th all time, with an 80% winning percentage. And I could go on and on. And early reports say that Oregon head coach Dan Lanning is the early front runner to replace the legend. Nick Saban was actually a defensive back coach for the Houston Oilers in the 1988 season. And speaking of Houston football, C.J. Stroud is your AFC Player of the Week. With your 25 Sports Now, I'm Zach Brown.
Thank you, Zach. All right, we want to invite y'all to experience our digital streaming service, Crossroads Today Plus. Just search Crossroads Today Plus. Now to the Republican rivals slugging it out on the debate stage in Iowa. Ron DeSantis and Nikki Haley ripped into each other in their first one-on-one showdown, repeatedly accusing one another of lying. Former President Trump escaped most of the incoming fire as he tried to steal the spotlight with his own event.
Right from the start of last night's feisty debate in Des Moines, Iowa, the gloves between Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley were off.
We don't need another mealy-mouthed politician who just tells you what she thinks you want to hear.
Every time he lies, Drake University, don't turn this into a drinking game because you will be overserved by the end of the night.
Both candidates trying to prove they're the best alternative to former President Trump, the frontrunner in the GOP primary. Immigration, a top issue.
We will build a wall.
Haley going after DeSantis for campaign finance issues.
If you can't manage a campaign, how are you going to manage a country?
The candidates also tangling over America's support for Ukraine.
We need to find a way to end this.
If we support Ukraine and Israel, that's only 5% of our defense budget.
So you're going to borrow that?
This is about keeping Americans safe. This is about preventing war. This is about keeping our military men and women from having to fight a war. And you only do that when you focus on national security, not telling lies to the American people.
Haley and DeSantis did agree on one thing, both saying Trump should have been on stage with them.
He chose not to attend as he has skipped all of the other debates. So far, that has worked out pretty well for him. This one-on-one debate between Haley and DeSantis featured a lot of them calling each other liars, arguing about their records on foreign policy, their conservative credentials.
Trump counter-programming the debate with a town hall on Fox News bragging about overturning Roe v. Wade.
For 54 years, they were trying to get Roe v. Wade terminated, and I did it. And I'm proud to have done it.
Another Republican in the race, former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie, dropped out earlier yesterday and was caught on a hot mic criticizing Haley's chances.
She's going to get smoked, and you and I both know it. She's not up to this.
Christie did not endorse either Haley or DeSantis as he left the race, but polls show his supporters would likely get behind Haley, giving her a boost ahead of the Iowa caucuses next Monday. Derek Dennis, ABC News.
Yesterday, House Republicans started the process of holding Hunter Biden in criminal contempt of Congress. And the president's son made an unexpected appearance with his lawyers outside of the hearing room. The House Oversight and Judiciary Committees both subpoenaed Biden for his testimony as part of the impeachment inquiry into President Biden. However, he didn't show up for a closed-door deposition last month, further frustrating lawmakers, including Congressman Michael Cloud.
He flew all the way over here the day he was scheduled for a deposition just to not appear and to kind of thumb his nose here at this body. Today he showed up, and the minority is trying to make the case, well, he showed up to speak. We've been here a couple times. I've been in a couple committee hearings, not nearly as many of the members here. Never have I seen a witness show up when they want to show up, which is further evidence of why he is holding Congress in contempt. He thinks he's above the law. He thinks it has no weight on him, and understandably so for the moment, because the DOJ refuses to follow up on anything and has done.
The House's impeachment inquiry comes from unproven claims that President Biden took part in or financially benefited from his son's foreign business dealings. If the contempt resolution passes out of committee, it's referred to a full House for a vote. If that succeeds, the Justice Department would determine whether to prosecute. And that leads us to your viewer poll. You can scan the QR code right there on your screen to take part. We ask you, should Hunter Biden be held in contempt? Okay, let's take a look. 67% of you say yes, and the rest of you say no. Thank you for taking part in this morning's viewer poll. And here's a look at some of the top headlines you'll find in the Career Record. Ben Gray becomes the new DeWitt County Assistant District Attorney, and the Career Rotary Club announces 5 new members. Read these stories and more at DeWittCountyToday.com. The time is now 6:47 on our Thursday morning. Still to come, an Emmy Award-winning actress revealing the time she was raped in a new powerful essay.
Well, good morning, Crossroads. A little bit chilly starting out your morning this morning in the upper 40s, but yesterday we had started out at 36 degrees. In fact, some of us actually started out at freezing yesterday. In fact, I know if I remember correctly, Hallettsville, Wharton, and Bay City all got to 32 degrees or 1 degree below, but yesterday we did warm up nicely to about 71, and it's going to be nice and even warmer today. In fact, yesterday we even saw some frost in some areas. This is a little viewer photo from Carol Featherston out there in Nursery, which is just about 5-10 miles northwest of the city of Victoria. You can see some of that white stuff over there on the top of the grass. That's that frost that was forming out here, even here at the Crossroads. This is a photo that I took as well right here in central Victoria. You can see all that white little flaky stuff. That's that frost, and you're wondering, why did it freeze? Why was there frost? And I'll tell you why. It's because at the ground level, about half a foot, maybe to a foot off the ground, it's actually about 3 to 4 degrees cooler than at eye level, where thermometers are actually usually placed to get those readings. So it might have actually been freezing at what had to be freezing at the ground to create all of that frost. It's a little cool little weather science for you this morning. But take a look at the big picture coming our way next week. We've got that low pressure system up there. Take that winter storm up there in the northeast that just gave them that big blizzard up there. And we're going to have another low coming right up the Rockies that's going to take the exact same path as that low, bringing yet another blizzard up there to the northeast. But then the big thaw coming our way is coming early next week. On Monday morning, we've got an Arctic blast bringing us into the low 20s overnight, Monday night and Tuesday night. We'll take a look at that and more in just a few more moments. Becky Cohen.
Thank you, Parker. An Emmy Award-winning actress is revealing the time she was raped in a new powerful essay. Law & Order SVU veteran star Mariska Hargitay said a male friend raped her in her 30s. Hargitay's recollection was published in People magazine on Wednesday. The 59-year-old actress describes how, for many years, she coped with her trauma privately. That included cutting the experience out of her mind by doing what she had to do to survive. And she writes she won't let the experience define her. Hargitay has since become an advocate for victims of sexual violence. In 2004, she founded the Joyful Heart Foundation to spread awareness and provide support for survivors. Hargitay is currently celebrating 25 years starring as Olivia Benson on SVU, a character known for bringing justice for victims of sexual assault and abuse. Another chapter in the Star Trek film series is in the works. First reported by entertainment publication Deadline, Paramount is behind the project with a plot that reportedly is set decades before the events in the 2009 Star Trek film. The most recent chapter, Star Trek Beyond, hit screens in 2016. Chris Pine reprised his role as Captain Kirk, which he first played in 2009. Plans for another film were announced in 2016, but were never fully realized. Since the last Star Trek film, fans have enjoyed the Trek universe through TV and streaming shows. Still to come on Sunrise, news to know before you go. A 6-year-old killed following a shooting in Dallas on Wednesday. A 6-year-old killed following a shooting in Dallas Wednesday. Authorities called to the scene shortly before 3 p.m. in Old East Dallas. The little girl inside the home with several other children and an unsecured firearm. The child later taken to a local hospital where she died. Police are not sure who shot the child, her mother making arrangements to bury her 14-year-old son at a funeral home at the time of the shooting. That's according to the child's aunt. An investigation into Wednesday's shooting is underway. A small plane made an emergency landing at Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International Airport on Wednesday. Leaders say the pilot of the aircraft landed without landing gear. The plane landed on its belly with a pilot and 5 other people on board. The aircraft had departed from Tallahassee earlier on Wednesday. Leaders say the plane sustained propeller damage, but there was no fuel leak and the emergency landing did not cause a fire. No injuries are reported. The Homeless Coalition of the Golden Crescent says 2 warming centers will open in Victoria Sunday at 5 p.m. The Salvation Army of Victoria headquarters, 1302 North Lewis Street, and First United Methodist Church, that's at 407 North Bridge Street in downtown Victoria. They will stay open as warming centers until Wednesday at 8 a.m. Transportation to the warming centers is available from Christ Kitchen, that's at 611 East Warren Avenue. The Republican Women of Yoakum hosting a GOP candidates forum this Saturday at the Yoakum Community Center at 105 Huck Street. That starts at 6 p.m. A Republican primary candidate forum will be held Monday in Port Lavaca. That's going to be at Drifters Hall at 5287 McDonald Road from 6 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. Call 361-552-6313 for more information. And we want to invite you to experience our digital streaming service, Crossroads Today Plus. You can find it on your connected TV through Amazon Fire TV, Roku, Apple TV, and Android TV. Just search Crossroads Today Plus. Now let's get a look at our forecast with Parker. Parker, has the fog cleared up any, or is it still there?
No, Carolina, it's
wow.
still there. Yeah. Look at that. In fact, it may have actually gotten even worse. In fact, I just got an eyewitness report from one of our friends here at the station saying it might be up to a little less than a quarter mile visibility out there. Very bad, but a little bit chilly out there starting out in the morning at about 50 degrees, but with the dew point matching that temperature, 100% humidity, which is driving up all of that fog. In fact, if you take a look at your visibilities currently, lots of us are under a mile in visibility. Some of us even less than a quarter mile in visibility. Please be careful out there on the roads this morning. You don't want to get in any kind of wrecks this morning. I'm sure we might hear some on the scanners this morning, but the big talk going into this weekend, into next week, is what's coming in beginning off the week. Next week, we're going to have an Arctic front coming off of northern Canada, bringing us into some chilly conditions next week, bringing us to below freezing overnight Tuesday night. Can you believe that, Carolina?
I am not ready, Parker.
Oh, that's too chilly for me.
I'm going to use that payday check to get some soup ingredients. So.
There you go.
All right. Well, thank you, Parker, and thank you for joining us. Have a wonderful Thursday. And remember, follow us on YouTube, Crossroads Today, and join Karina, Don Mack, and Zach today at 25 News Now 5, 6, and 10.